thank you very much for joining us, everybody. We're really pleased to be able to host you all this morning. We're very much looking forward to spending some time with you. What we're planning to run through today is the reporting options that are available in Opera 3 VFP and Opera 3 SQL. We're very lucky to have with us Julian from Pegasus. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I think somebody's not on mute. Thank you so much. So we're very lucky today to have with us Julian from Pegasus. He is our BDM, so he'll be showing us all the nice, exciting new features along with the roadmap that's coming along. Nicolene Dixon, who I'm sure you're all familiar with and is our apps team manager, was supposed to be hosting this call, but she's unfortunately not very well. She is online to answer any questions as we need them, but I'm going to drive the slides for her.
I can hear it.
So my name's Alexa. I'm the Sales and Marketing Coordinator. We also have Paul Woodhouse, who I'm sure most of you are familiar with. He's our Pegasus Specialist Account Manager at TMB.
Oh.
And we've got Deb and Andy, who I'm sure you've all spoken to many times on the service desk and working with you on projects. So, oh, I should have been clicking forward. So as I said, the things that we're going to cover today are the current reporting tools in VFP. Hopefully some of you are using them already, and this will be a good refresher for you. And if you're not currently using them, you might be able to see the value and the power that they are able to offer you. We can also have a sneak peek and a look at the reporting tools that are available in SQL. As I said, Julian is going to show us the roadmap, and we'll have any questions that you want to raise, please put them in the chat and we will discuss them and hopefully be able to answer to meet your requirements. So kicking us off, Opera 3 VFP. So I'll hand over to you, Deb.
Thanks very much, Alexa. I'll now go through the views with you for the Pegasus Opera views. Are views a useful reporting tool? And so that's the question. So are they or aren't they? I'm going to go through this and show you, and then you can make your own choices. Obviously, if you've got any questions, just jump in. Any questions that you'd like to ask at any point, or at the end of this, you can send in an email to pegasus@tmb.co.uk. So views, they're available on financials, in Sales Ledger View, Purchase Ledger View.
Sorry, Deb, did you take the screen?
Oh, sorry, has it not come over? Oh, hang on a second. Sorry, apologies, everyone. There, that's better. As everybody can see that. I hadn't noticed it hadn't moved over, sorry.
I can see it, Deb.
Excellent, thank you. So let's get back to my screen. So here's my screen and my views. So we have Sales Ledger View, Purchase Ledger View, Nominal. There's also a view on the costing module. We also have in Supply Chain Management a view on the stock, and in the payroll there's a view there. It's probably already been there. It's been there for a long time, and probably people haven't even realised what it's actually there for, or they don't even remember why they saw it in the first place. So what is a view? A view is a snapshot of your Pegasus Opera data at any point in time. The view actually stores the data, and you can go back over the system. My demo data on here is between for this year, January and February and March. So those are the dates that I shall be using on this demonstration. So I want to have a look at some data on my system for by sales account. So if I put my date in there, the 1st of the 1st, 24, to the 31st of the 1st, 24, and I'm going to do by sales account, and I'm going to click my refresh button. Straight away, it gives me a list of all of my sales for that period in time. And I can have a look at that, and I can see there, I get totals at the bottom. So I can do some analysis on that. So if I wanted to change that to look at what sales codes by analysis code, same date range, click my refresh button, and it changes my sales analysis. So I have a list now of who bought the lease accessories, and I can just click my button there, and it's this set of customers who bought vehicle consumables. So I can see via the sales analysis, and this also works on purchase ledger as well. So do my customers need a discount because they're spending a lot of money? Who are my top 10, or who are my best customers? Do I need to look into those a bit more? If I go back to my sales account, the other thing that I could do here is click my action button and copy this data. Go into Excel and Control V, and immediately all that information gets pasted directly into Opera, along with all the totals and everything along related to it. So I could actually also, excuse me, make this a little bit more interesting. If I click this button here, I've got an option here called chart. I could actually even produce a little chart based on this information. I can choose my multiple bar charts, stacked bars, 3D bars, whichever I like. Change my colours if I'm looking to change anything. It's a bit bizarre, but there you go. I can take off the various options here, and then I can click my action button, copy it to the clipboard, and then paste it into Opera. Might be looking good if I'm doing a sales presentation to my accounts department, or I've got some information that I need to share to people. So what about the information that's actually there on that screen? Well, you can see each account has got a little square against it. So what does that information show me in there? So if I double click on that, this actually shows me the invoice that was related, the invoice information related to that particular transaction. Tells me the date, the reference. So basically all the information on the invoice. But what about if I double click on that? Pick the one option that doesn't have a PDF, so that's handy. Okay, so the PDFs don't exist for January. That's really good. So let's try moving the data off to March. Just click my refresh button. So now I've got everything for the first quarter. So if I go to this particular customer, I can see my, excuse me, I can see my March invoices here. Let's double click on that one. Now, if the PDF exists, it'll take you straight to the document design that it relates to. Demo data doesn't always have PDFs related to some of the data, so it is a bit difficult sometimes. But the latest data that's actually on there for the current month is March, so it does have the information. So yeah, so that's exactly what this invoice is related to. So I could actually, if I wanted to, right-click on this top. That's the other thing I don't know if everybody knows. Anything in Opera that's in a grid format like this, you can right-click on the top on any part of this menu and copy this data. And then if I go into Excel, I can Control V that. So that actually works for everything. So any
that's
sort of
useful.
grid. Yeah, that actually works in any sort of grid. So if you've got sort of just a really quick one, this is the one I use quite a lot, to be fair. If I just do this, I can do it on this as well. So anything that's in a grid format. So this will be the sales ledger, all the transactions on the sales ledger. So if I need to do some quick analysis or look for information for whatever reason, those are all every transaction related to that customer. So that's a good way of doing it. So sorry, I just digressed there, but yes, anything that's in a grid format, you can right click, copy and paste to Excel. We've also got an option here for criteria. Excuse me. What I like to do when I'm doing my views, I always like to show the code and the description because I think it's useful. You might not know, or you can't remember. I don't know. The name is. I know it's A001. That's the account number I always use. Can't recall the name of the customer, which I know might be a bit weird, but sometimes it's useful if you've got things like on your sales codes, for example, accessories. These are the like your nominal codes or your sales codes that you're relating to. So sometimes you can remember those easier. So double click, and again, all the transactions are there. And again, if I double click that one, it'll take me straight to the invoice design. So that part of it's really quite useful. So I can build up a nice little pack. But how do I create one though? Because I know that I've got a couple on here. These are the two standard ones that are always there. So how do I create my own? In the maintenance section, you have a views. These are the two views that are set up already. So I'm going to create a new one. So white sheet of paper, everybody remember. So I'm going to call this C, and I'm going to call this what am I going to call this? Account by sales, for example. So here I have a drop-down list of all the fields that I can actually report on. So I could actually do a year, could actually do a month, and then I could do an account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I want the account. Let's do the month. And then maybe, I don't know, the analysis code. Save that. And as soon as I save that, that's going to appear in my list. That's the first one here, count by sales, count month and analysis code. So if I change that system date now to 22, from 22 to 24, and do a refresh, here's my Adams Light Engineering, excuse me. These are all my months, and that's the analysis code. So I can tell in March, these items are purchased. Not sure whether or not it'll go back that far because it's demo data, but yeah. Do I have enough history? Oh, I do have enough history. So there I could see the back all there. So what I could do is I could say, all right then, so what about the 31st of the 12th, 22? So for a whole year, I can see, click my criteria tab, go to my code and description. Sometimes if you display the quantity, that doesn't always come up on the system. It just depends. If when you're keying your invoices in, if you've got stock, it will show that information. And if you're keying them in manually, it doesn't necessarily always show the quantity because you might not end up putting it in. So in January 2022, I can see exactly what they bought and how much it was. So I can see maybe trends, look at trends when I really need to get decent stock items in, lots of stock, when I don't need to get so much. And again, all of that information, you can copy the data and you can paste it into Excel. The only thing I will say on this is just bear in mind that when it's in a format like this, it's not going to copy the drill down. So you literally just do that. It doesn't take very long just to go through all of those. And then you just copy and paste. So if I just do copy data and then paste it, it'll show me that information. So that's quite useful information. Well, what about if I say I'm not going to bother with the sales, I want to look at nominal now. I like the nominal because this gives you a really quick trial balance. So you can click the refresh. I'm doing periods 1 to 12. I'm not that far yet, but there are only 3. Click my refresh button, and that literally there click my action, copy the data. That is my trial balance. That is literally everything on there. So I can do some quick calculations to make sure it balances, because usually you have to go into reports and trial balance and blah, 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 print it out or send it to the screen, scroll all the way down. But doing it this way, this is a really quick and easy way of doing it. Obviously, again, with the criteria, you can use the code in the description, which I always like to do that. So I've got the nominal code because sometimes it's easier to work with that. And what about if I wanted to look at year and period? So if I've only got 2023 and 24 on there, but let's just do that. 23, 24, those are my period numbers. And then I can double click on that. And these are my transactions. This is what you see when you go into your nominal accounts. Again, you're in a grid, so I can right click, copy that data. Mouse has disappeared. Control V, and that will post everything. So I can see all my bought forwards, journals, cash books, everything for the whichever date it was. So it's all for January 2023. So those are all the transactions that are related to it. And if there's a journal, I always double click instead of single click. This is the actual journal that transaction relates to. So it's this part of it is really powerful. So in period 1 of 2023, I can double click on that. And I put it, so it's down here, sorry. Let's just go back. What about period 7 then? Just randomly picking period numbers out. So these period 7 numbers, you can see all my bought forwards from my previous period, all my journals that have been posted, along with the narratives, along with everything that's been transferred over from sales, purchase, cash book, payroll and stock. And if I needed to, I can single click on the journal and it produces the actual journal. This is the stock journal, if you ever use the stock journals. So I can go through all of those anytime, pull that information through. Oh, keep going that, sorry. Double clicking too fast, I think. So yeah, I can go through all of those, double click on that. Single click on that. And then you've got your transfers from your cash book. So on this particular, so what if I wanted to create a new one then? So I can actually go into my maintenance, into my views. I've got account, nominal account and period. So I'm going to create a D. I'm going to call it, and then I'm going to go tab down there. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to say, okay, then so what else can I produce my report on? So I could go for types, subtypes, and account number. I've got 6 levels if I want to. I don't think you really need to go that far, but it's entirely up to you. So the more things you've got, so like cost centres and cities. So if you've got dimensions set up, you could use all of those as well. So if I go into my nominal view now, I'm going to change that to 23. And I'm going to go for that period 1. So I've got type, subtype, account number, cost centre and city and depot. Make sure I do that and click a refresh. So these are my top levels. These are all my types, fixed assets, current assets, etc. If I then I'm going to split that down into debtors, stocks, cash at bank. I can see my trade debtors, my individual accounts, and then I can see that it's got no cost centre against them. So if I go back down to my sales, I've got my lease contract sales there. That's my account number, and there's my cost centre. And I don't have any cities or depots set up on this particular test data, so But I can drill down as far as I like on those, up to my 6 levels. But this is a good overview because this one gives you what these give you. So the income, the expenses, assets, liabilities. So it's like a quick way of getting this information out because, again, running reports, click on the report, go to the blah, do the date range, whatever. But in here, you literally change the date, pick the report that you want and click the refresh button. And then you can add different criteria. So if I just wanted freehold buildings to freehold buildings, I could do that. Say refresh and it will just give me those. Or if I wanted, sometimes you just need expenses or something that you're looking for, or purchases, for example. Just go through all my purchases. Can't find it now. There you go. So there we are. Really quick way of looking at Pegasus Opera data. And again, when you double click against this little, these are all the transactions that are related to that particular period, 23, 24, all the purchase ledger transactions. And obviously, if you've got data that goes back further in the nominal ledger, that means you can go back as far as you like by just selecting the year and whichever period you're after. I'm not sure if there's anything else that you'd like me to look at or go through, but I think that's my 10 minutes. Is that, Alexa? Is that my 10
Yeah,
minutes up? Or have I
it's
gone too
lovely.
far?
No, that's lovely. Thank you, Deb. That was a really really nice overview of that. And so the views, are they available in each module?
Not every module. It's just sales, purchase, nominal, costing, payroll, and stock.
Oh wow, okay, so it's a good selection there.
Yeah, yeah.
We did have a question in the chat for you, please, Deb, and that was, how do you import the PDFs into Opera?
I'll tell you that
PDF.
it
Oh, go
depends
on.
on what PDFs you're talking about, really. So if it's the purchase ledger PDFs that you want, then you'll probably need to have some bespoke called auto invoicing, potentially, where you can get the PDFs automatically read and then bring those transactions into Opera. But that's a different area on the system. Or you can have Document Manager, where you can actually scan the PDFs at the time you're creating invoices, etc., on there, and then store them inside Document Manager.
Yeah, because especially where it's on, say, on the purchase ledger, and also if you're importing data into sales and purchase ledgers, when you post it, you just literally get a notepad. That's literally all it is. It's still the information that you've keyed in. It still gives you the analysis that you've keyed in, and then the goods and the VAT, etc. But it's not a physical document. But so when you're keying in an invoice into any ledger, either sales or the purchase, because it works the same way, it'll be this information that gets imported that's available for you to use. If you're using sales invoicing, then it'll be that information that will pop up because it'll store a PDF there for you. But if you're importing the data into Opera, well, on the sales or the purchase ledger, then you're just going to get that little notepad. It's still valid. I mean, it's still good because it still gives you all that. It literally saves you from having to go into processing, find the supplier, double click on this, go into this, and then find the information there, and then double click this. Is it no further details? I'm always picking something that says no further details. So
but we can discuss that. We can discuss the PDF
Yeah.
later on if you need, and go a bit more detail on how PDFs and etc. are all stored on the system.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
so we can do that.
All right, thank
Any
you,
others?
guys.
No more
Else, any other
questions?
questions? No.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to hand it over to. I'm handing it back over to Alexa.
No, you're
Yeah.
passing it back.
Passing it over to Alexa.
You're taking it, are you, Andy? Go on then.
Yeah, I'll take
Andy,
it.
what are you going to be talking to us about?
So I'm thank you, Debbie, for showing us the views and how powerful they can actually be. I'm going to be showing you XRL. Now, XRL is available. It stands for an Excel reporting layer. It's available in both VFP and SE. There's limited function in the SE version over the VFP, but Julian will explain a little bit more on the SE version later on in the demonstration. Excel stands for an Excel reporting layer. It's a bolt-on to Excel, which allows you to access your opera data directly into an Excel spreadsheet, then allowing you to use the functionality of Excel itself to manipulate that data to display the information on how you want. So I'm just going to go straight into it for you and show you the XRL and how easy it is that it works. So we have Excel, we have a login option here. Now the login is quite secure. It links through to a user ID in Opera, and whatever access that user has in Opera, they will be able to have access in XRL to reply on those modules. So if, for example, there's a user that doesn't have access to, say, the payroll module, they wouldn't be able to write any reports in XRL to the payroll module. So it limits the access to what the user actually has in Opera. So you can log in with a password, you do OK. Just bear with me a second, my screen decided just to close Excel, which was, we'll go back in. So we go in, we log on into Excel, and we've logged in. This gives you a new menu option along the screen, and there's a number of bits on here. We're just going to concentrate basically on the reporting side of this, but I'll show you some of the other bits in a little while on here. So just to show you how quick and how easy it is to write the reports, it is user friendly. It does try to use English. It doesn't try to use complicated report terminology, etc. So we basically have a selection criteria box on the screen. Just a bit about this box here. The top half is where you are and where you can add your filters. The bottom left-hand side is the fields where you can select, and the bottom right-hand side is the area which will export to Excel. So we've got the product, we've got the company, the table. So if we double click on the table, it gives us a list in English of which tables we're going to look at. So this time I'm going to look at the sales ledger. And then the sales ledger, I'm just going to have a look at the sales ledger accounts. So I'll just double click the accounts and now have all the fields that are available to me to report on now listed on the left-hand side. And I can just double click those, put that one in wrong. Let's do that one. Just pick up my contacts. I've put that one wrong. So I can just click on it here, and I've got some arrow keys, and I can alter my order around on there. And quite simply, I can just go to my report style. On the report style, I can just select some predefined styles. So let's just pick up that one. I do OK. And very quickly, very simply, I now have a list of all of my customers in Excel, ready to do some phone calls, etc. I can put notes, etc. I can put filters on this. I can alter it. I can pick up potentially. I can go in here and I could add an extra field on here. So I could potentially pick up, say, the region, and then I can just add the region to the top of the screen and select a particular region. So let's just select London, for example. Put a filter on, and any customers that's in the London region will then appear on this report. I don't have any in London. But as you can see, I can quite quickly just click on the report again, bring it out. I'll take my filter off. I don't want it on the report. I'm just going to take some fields off here now and just change this report around slightly. Just going to take my names and addresses off. And this time, I'm just going to scroll down and I can pick up my current balance and my turnover. And what I may want to do here is I can actually put a sort on here, and I want to sort it on turnover. Okay, do OK. And now I've very quickly got my turnover of all my customers in Excel. And I can make this even better. I can filter it a little bit more, so I can actually add a filter on here. And this is where you can start using the functionality. Yep, so what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to put a turnover rate up at the top, and then I just use the functionality of greater than 1,000. Now I'll only get customers that have a turnover of 1,000. With a simple click of a button, I can just highlight these and press the chart button, and very quickly I've now got a chart of my turnover just using the standard functionality and chart functionality of XRL. So there we go. We've now got a list of all my customers. Very quick, very simple, very easy how to get that information in. So I'm just going to change this slightly now. So I'm just now going to do another report in XRL, and this time I'm going to show you it in the nominal ledger. So I'll just do a quick detailed report on here. And this time I'm going to pick up the table, and I'm going to pick up nominal, and we're going to be picking up my nominal accounts. So again, I'm going to pick my account, my cost center. I got my account description, so I know which account it is. And then I can go down here and I can put my balances up. Look, so balance period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very quick, very simple. I can add multiple fields on here. And if I do OK on that, very quick, very simple. I now got my period balance for each of my accounts in the nominal ledger. But I can use this the bit more functionality on this. It's very useful, very powerful. And as you say, you can get into the reports a little bit more. And what I can now do on here is say, take these fields off here, and I can add a calculated field. So this one, I'm just going to call Q1 for quarter 1. And in here, I'm just going to pick up my balance period 1, hit the plus, period 2, plus, period 3. And now I want the output on it to actually be a number rather than text. It's Q1, do OK, and then OK. I've now got my quarterly figures for each particular account on the system. And I've got lots of accounts in here. I may just want to do my balance sheet accounts. So if I want to do my balance sheet accounts, I can go back into the report design again in here. I can now put the filter of my account. Now my balance sheet accounts start from K110. So if I click my 3 dots, I can select K110 from this list. And I'm going to go to the 2. I'll just scroll to the bottom and pick up my last account. Do OK. And perhaps I might put a different style on here. Let's put a different color on here. Let's pick up, say, my accounting one. There we go. And do OK. So as you can see now, very quickly, I've now got my balance sheet accounts sitting for quarter 1 with all my totals. And I can repeat this. I can add more fields onto the system. So I'm just going to take this slightly further now onto the system. Okay, I'm going to take the same standard report, but I'm going to add a little bit more functionality to it. So I'm just going to create a new report here. I'm just going to do a very quick detailed report this time. Okay, from this table here, I'm going to pick up my nominal accounts in the same way. And I'm just going to pick up my account, my cost center, and my account description. I want to make it a little bit pretty, so I'm just going to pick my color 2 on here because I quite like that one, and I do OK. And again, I've got my functionality. I've got my list of my reports here, etc. But I'm going to add a little bit more functionality on this particular one. So what I'm just going to do here is I'm just going to put in some basic information. So I'm going to put a year up at the top, and maybe I'm going to put a month in here, and let's just do period 1. Let's do period 2. Oh, I did a minus sign there. So 02, 03, etc. So what I can now do here is I can actually use a different report, the summary link this time. So what this summary link does, I can pick a table. Now, when I open the tables this time, you'll notice that I don't get quite so many fields or tables I can actually pick from, because it's saying I can only summarize the information in these tables. There's the other tables, there's no summarization in there, so I would have to run a detailed report. But this time I'm just going to pick up my transactions. So this time I'm going to pick up my transactions, and all I want, and if we look on the output side, because it's a summary one, when I look down here, I get the value, and it's in red. So you notice it's in red because it knows it's going to do a sum. If I put that out on the output over here, so I've got my value. So now I'm going to pick up my account and drop that in as a filter at the top. I'm going to pick my cost center and put that up as a filter. I also want some more filters on here. So this time I'm going to be picking up my year and my period. So what I can now do is, if I go to the account, I can now tell it to select a cell on my report. So I'm going to select that cell, and I'm going to go to that cell. Okay, my cost center is going to be that cell. Now, when I come to year, and I select this field up here, what you'll notice is that it's not fixing it properly. So what I'm going to do, I always want to use this cell. So just using the functionality of Excel, I'm going to hard code it to be that particular cell all the time, which is using the dollar signs. And then when I get to period, I'm going to select this one. Yeah. I want the column number to change when I do a copy, but leave the row number the same. So I'm happy with that one there. I can now do OK. And on that cell, I now have the value for the period one for that account for that year. But then I can use the functionality. I don't want to write that for every single particular field. So I can just copy that and paste it in here and paste it in here. So copy, paste, paste. So I'm just using the functionality of Excel, and then I can take those fields and I can copy them down here. So it's not calculated yet because I need to actually tell it to recalculate the worksheet. I haven't done all the cells, I've just done a few, but as you can see, I'm now building up a report that is linked through to these accounts and automatically would update these fields here. I could potentially change my year now on this report and recalculate, and what you'll see is these figures will all suddenly change. So very quickly, very powerfully, you can see I can get certain information out. What I can also use on this is when I'm actually presenting or even looking at the information, maybe with the directors, etc., on the report, I may get a query on one of the figures. What's been making up this the trade debtors? So I can select the field here, and then I can use some more functionality and power of XRL, which is I can actually use this drill down functionality. So if I hit drill down on the transactions, what we'll actually see is a box which should pop up. Yeah, and I'm going to select transactions. And it's brought over all of my report criteria that it's using already, but now giving me additional outputs. So now I can start putting in my journal number, maybe the reference, who inputted it, what transaction type it is. I can do OK. And that's now using the report and giving me the drill down and breakdown of what that figure is being made up of. So there's the 36, and that's that figure there. So you can see very quickly, very simply, I can actually give a breakdown of what's making up that information. I can just close that, or I can copy that, etc., and put that into there. I can even put it in as a chart if I wanted to on the system. So as you can see, it's very powerful. We can take this a little bit further. We can actually build in macros and functionality inside Opera, inside XRL. We can use the Excel macro function, so we can actually get the system to do a lot more automation for you. Now, I can go through and show you this, but I have actually got one that I've prepared earlier on here. So if I'm just going to open up my management report. So what you can start doing is you can start creating a suite of reports, a management suite ready for doing month-end reporting, etc. So this is still Excel. This is just my suite of management reports. All I've got on this front screen menu here is I've got a year, I've got my periods, I've got my current, the fields that I potentially want to be able to change on the report. But I've got a profit and loss report, so I can just click on my profit and loss. It's using macros. It's going to go to that particular page on my report down here, and it's actually automatically going to recalculate that report at the time. I've now got an up-to-date profit and loss report.
So
Click
just
on my
throwing a question out to the room,
Yeah.
Andy, if you don't mind.
No.
Is there anybody that we've still got here that's manually creating their profit and loss reports? Do you think, is that quite a time-consuming process? Nobody. Everyone's already doing it through XRL. That's fantastic. Carry on then, Andy.
Yeah, it saves you having to key a lot of figures in. So even if you've got an existing management report potentially that you're using, and you go in each month and you take the figures from the TB and you key them in to generate there, you can even look at getting the system to actually update that spreadsheet automatically for you rather than having to key the figures in. You could write a summary link that will pick up the right criteria for you and automatically populate that field for you. So you know there's no keying errors then at that point when you transpose numbers, etc. So just to go back to this functionality here, little macro takes me back to the front screen. I'm going to look at my profit and loss by month. So this is another report. Yep, so now I've got my figures per month. And as you can see, my demo data for 2024 only got data in the first 3 months of the system. So I want to change that. So if I just go back and I change my year, just click on my dots, I get the dates come up for my criteria. I do OK. Click back on my monthly. And very quickly, that's now recalculated and has given me all of the information for last year's full system. Going back to here, there I can do a balance sheet. There's my balance sheet. Very quick, period 3. It's picking up the current period from the front screen, so it knows what it is. So I can change my current period on here to 1. Click on my balance sheet. And 1. Click my period 2 on here, say to period 1. Click on my balance sheet, and that will now recalculate for that particular period. With it linking into the Visual Fox Pro version rather than an SC, there are some other items I can do. I can actually do budgets inside XRL, and I can send this information back into Opera to update the budget fields. So no having to rekey any budgets, etc. on the system. So there's an option to return the budget data, etc. on my report here. And we can help people if that's something that needs to use. You could take this a little bit further. So in Excel, you could give this to potentially someone that doesn't have Opera on their system, and they can still, if they've got a login to actually sign into XRL, you can even get them to be able to do inquiries on debtors, for example. So customer selection. So I want to have a look at Adams Light Engineering. I select the account, and now in Excel, I have their statement of accounts. So very quick, very simple way to do this. I have got a different report that I prepared as well, more of a commercial one on here rather than a management one on here. So this one is just customer inquiries. Yeah. So again, that's very similar to the report that we've just looked at. He says. I think I decided to break my machine. Sorry about that. That should always, there we go. It always comes up when you don't want.
When the pressure's on.
Yes, when it decides that it's not decided not to respond on me. This is my virtual machine for you. Sorry about that. I will get that one closed and I'll come back to that one. But you can do stock reorder reports, for example, so you can run them on stock. you can post stock adjustments potentially through the XRL. So you can start using stock take potentially. So you can use XRL to potentially do your stock takes on the system, write the report. It gives you all of your in-stock figures. It gives you all of the in-stock figures that you want. I'm just going to kill my XRL. Sorry about that. It should close.
Andy, if people need support in writing XRL reports, can we help them with that? Is that something that TME can do?
Yeah, we can help, certainly help write, or we can show you how to actually write the reports, and you can have a go yourself. And then if you're still having issues, then yes, we can potentially help write them that way. So yeah, and we can help you convert some of your programs as well. What we tend to do is we tend to do a training session where people have specific reports that they want, maybe in XR, in Excel that they currently use, where the key information we can go through and show them how to use XRL, but at the same time help them convert their existing reports potentially into an XRL report. So at the end of the training, not only do they know how to use XRL, but they also have the report written that they want to use XRL potentially for, so they can use it that way.
Oh, that's handy. And so you don't have to start again with a whole new suite of reports. You could
No, we could
look at
take
using
an
XRL
existing.
to.
Yeah, we can take an existing report that's on here, and then where you normally key the figures in, we can look at making sure the right criteria are on, and you would normally tend to use something like a summary link, which would then go away and find that information that you would normally key in. So as
That's
long as we
great.
know what the criteria is for that, what goes into that particular cell, then yes, we can find that sort of information out.
Thank you.
Does anyone really have any questions on the XRL that's come up?
You're too good, Andy.
So I'm going to pass you over to Julian, who's got very exciting news with regards to the development of Opera and the reporting capabilities using the data linking tool. So let me pass you over to Julian, and he can take over and explain everything to you.
Lovely.
Thanks,
Thank you so much
Andy.
for your time.
I'm hoping you can see my screen. I've nipped in and taken over, I hope. Yeah, all good.
You can.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Andy, and thanks, Deb, for your demonstrations. I think that they've really shown what we've got in place already, the power reporting that we've got in Pegasus currently, and there's other options as well, which haven't been covered. But I'm going to talk to you about our newest software release, which is for SQL SE, that expands these reporting tools for you even further. You may be aware that our SQL SE software has been built and written basically using the latest technologies, bringing everything really up to date. And one of the key areas we've really looked at is security. So I'm going to talk to you about why we felt we needed the data connector. We'll do a little bit because you've seen XRL and yeah, brilliant. It looks really good, and it is. So I'll talk about XRL versus data connector. Then I'll talk about how the data connectors actually works with SQL SE. Then I'll give you a few examples. Then after that, I'll go onto the roadmap and tell you what new stuff we've got coming up. So why have the data connector was released probably about 3 weeks ago now, and the question is always asked, why have we done that? So we felt there was a need to offer a fast, secure, I'll talk about security lots, but it's got to be secure reporting tool that enables direct access into the SQL SE data. Again, whilst maintaining that secure environment that we've really stressed and put into the SE software. We needed something that could utilize power not only of Excel, but of also numerous other reporting tools that you guys may be using that are on the market. Just not, yes, it works brilliant in Excel, and I will show you some examples of that, but it also uses other reporting tools such as Power BI, SQL Reporter, stuff like that. We looked to the best way of doing this, and there was lots of different ways of doing it, but we considered what's easy for the customers, what some of our customers already using for other software solutions that they use, and what was best for our partners to actually learn and to introduce to their customers. So we chose something called OData as the preferred method for accessing and extracting the data in efficient, effective, secure manner. So some of you may know what OData is. The majority of us probably don't. And I could spend 10 minutes talking about it, but in the interests of time and also boredom thresholds, I simply OData stands for Open Data Protocol, and it allows the data to be extracted from many different data sources. So it's not just a Pegasus thing. You can use OData in other software packs, either a manufacturing package or something else that links in. And then you can analyze and work with that data in all of the different software tools such as Excel, Power BI, etc. If you are really interested in finding out more about OData, have a look at www.odata.org, and yeah, bit of bedtime reading for you there, I think. Okay, so why do we choose OData? Fast, modern technology, as I said, keeping on the back of what we've done with SE, used by multiple applications and used in various different ways. It's very flexible, the same as XRL is for getting the data out. And it also returns results, a little bit technical, but in something called JSON, which is replacing XML, which some of you may have heard of for data transfer online. But the key thing was we needed to ensure that the security of your data within SE was maintained. So moving on to Data Connector versus XRL. First thing people go is Data Connector is a replacement for XRL. It's not. They complement each other. XRL, as it says on the slide, is sometimes better for more detailed reporting. You can do detailed reporting in Data Connector, but things like management reports, I would probably still do in XRL. They're probably written already. But the Data Connector is very good for short, quick reports, dashboards, KPIs, things like that. And also because it opens up all the Pegasus data in what we'd call a data lake, it can be accessed by things like Power BI, so then you can report those tools on a mobile application, which I'll show you a little bit later. So the pros of XRL, Andy's covered it brilliantly, to be fair. It is secure. There's a standard UI for using it within Excel. Simple to use, easy to design reports, etc., etc., etc. Friendly names, and integrates perfectly with Excel, which is what it's supposed to do. Data Connector, again, we've improved security, and it's direct into that data, but again, in a secure manner. Can utilize multiple different types of reporting applications. There's no user count, so one license covers all users. Automatic calculation in Excel remains on, so you don't have to keep pressing F9 or recalculate all of your spreadsheets if you're using the Data Connector. Refresh options are very powerful, and I'll show you one of those in an example. It's modern. It uses the same friendly English names as Andy put it for generating the reports. It integrates with Excel the same and other areas, as said. But it's also very, very good for developers. So if you have any developments on your system, for example, stock going into an e-commerce product or customers or something like that, it's easy to extract that data and utilize that data outside of the solution. So how's that going to work with, how does it work with SQL SE? So it sits alongside SAM, which you may or may not know is our server administration and monitoring tool that you get with SE. And it is an independent installation that uses IIS for the data access. Now, if you don't know what SAM is, I will show you quickly if that can pop up, and hopefully you can see that. So this is our server administration and monitoring tool. And I'm not going to go into everything because that's a different demonstration, but it basically holds all your company data and where your SQL database is, mail server settings. It's a tool for migration and also a great tool for support as well. But I wanted to show you just on the security here, we've increased the security both around XRL and also introduced high levels of security with a data connector. So we've set up reporting roles so those can be assigned to users and they can only see what they're allowed to see in Opera, but also we can actually pin that down even more into certain areas of, say, nominal or payroll or something like that. So that's Sam, just to show you that, and we've just increased the security there. Same as XRL, it's a friendly dictionary, predefined links, etc. have been set up. Now, one of the key areas of data connectors, if you do have any development within your Pegasus software, at the moment, XRL, you can't report on any data or fields that are generated by Bespoke. With the data connector, you will be able to. It will look at all areas of all data within your Pegasus, including those Bespoke fields, and you can report on those as well. And obviously, the ability to manipulate that data to whatever is required using Excel, whatever tool, and the powers of those. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of examples. So I'll start with Microsoft Excel because that's the easiest to show to give you an idea, and then I'll give you an idea of what you can do in Microsoft Power BI as well. So what I will do is just open up a blank XRL spreadsheet. And I'll create a quick report. This is driven by URLs, which we can generate or TMB can help you with. We do have a brand new released URL generator, which basically gives us a breakdown of which company you use, which table you would like to look at. And there's a drop down there, and we can go, well, I'll just click anything random, service on there. Probably not the best one because service help desk isn't available. Sales codes, we'll do that one. And you can see it automatically brings up there and we want to do reports, including that field, that field, that field. And it generates the URL and you can copy that. And what we would do in that instance, click on the right thing. Once you've copied your URL, we can then put that into the node data feed. Control V there. And what I've got there is just a top level actually. So it's all the data. Now, I think I saw something flash up. Someone saying they find XRL quite slow in reporting. What you request with this from your server is only the data you require. So at the moment, XRL, it will bring across a lot of data through your network backwards and forwards. So data connector will actually reduce the amount of data that flows across your network and quicken up that process of reporting. So I'll just do a sales account. You can see all the modules, etc. there. Click on sales account. Does a little preview. I've got a transform data button, which is basically Microsoft Query, so that you can then go through and tailor your report and drill downs and things like that. But I'm not going to do that because, again, in the interest of time, load that report off. And this is everything that's coming across from my server and the data lake to do with my sales account. And you can see it's updating there, going to bring it across. It does get slowed down in Teams a little bit, but it's still relatively quick, I'm hoping. Or not, as may be the case, but it is bringing across quite a lot of data there. There you go. So that's brought across every single bit of data from my sales ledger accounts, and you can see it's everything that's in Opera on there. Now, maybe useful, there's an awful lot of stuff. It's automatically done filters and things like that for me. And we could change, the same as in XRL, we can change the views, the way it looks for you. That's a lot of data. I don't really need all that data. So for example, I've created one I did earlier, is a little URL. So I'm going to pick out my top 10 sales ledger customers in order of descending balance. So again, go into data, get data, other sources, O data. Copy that in. Gives us an example of what we'll see. Click OK. And there's my report. So you can see that those are my top 10. I think it's 10. Yeah, something like that. Probably more than that. But looks 1, 2, 3. Number of customers sorted. I think it was a report that any balances over £2,000. I think it was. So there we go. So that's the report, and whether they're on stop or not. Just to add a little function on there, and you can add whatever information you want into that report as you go. So one of the key things we've got in here, if I click on there and go data and look at the refresh tools, connection properties, and this is quite neat, this. So we've got, well, what we want is, when we load up that spreadsheet, just save it and it retains that link. We'll refresh the data when opening the file, makes sense. But if we want to keep it on a desktop or we want to put it on a big screen in the office to see what's going on, we can go refresh every 60 seconds. Well, 60 minutes. I won't do that because we will be sat here for 60 minutes waiting for it to change. We'll refresh every minute on the data. So what we'll do, I'm going to set a little timer because we find I really rush through this because I think a minute's a short time, but in a presentation it's not. So what we've got there, so we'll have a look at Hartlepool office needs. They've got a balance of £2,887 on there. I'll go into SE. I'll create an invoice for them on there. It's Hartlepool, isn't it? Let's just go through, find them there. Hartlepool, we'll add an invoice. We all know how to do this, so just make something up. We'll do something silly like £10,000, so it's obvious as to what happens.
We should have put the countdown music
On
in
the
the background.
screen,
It's
yeah.
like do-do-do-do-do-do.
Actually, you know what? I've probably gone past it. £10,000, we'll get rid of any VAT just to make it easy. And we'll post that invoice into there. Yes, we do. Thank you very much. Yeah, we know that. Okay, a little warning on the credit limit, but that's life. Okay, so while I'm there, so we can go back to the spreadsheet and we can sit there waiting for Hartlepool to jump up from cell 14 up to about, I think they'll go to between Car Smart and Gilpin. But while we're waiting for that, very quickly, it will be very quickly, if I can get this back open, I will open this, something to talk to you about in a minute on user profiles. Okay, let's go back to that, and any second now that should jump up if my timer is right. There you go. So just to prove that that automatic calculation is on. So anything, if you like to sit there and watch the data change, you can see that happen as you go. And it's a lot easier than clicking refresh all the time and seeing where you are. As you say, you could just have it on one of your screens in the corner, and you can have graphs and things within Excel using Excel functionality, and it'll update it. It's all very nice. Okay, what I will show you here while I'm here is one of the areas of security we've added, and we've added this into SE, is we're now using Windows, you can use, if you wish to, Windows authentication to log into your Pegasus software. But what we have done with the data connector, because it's like, one license covers all, you do need to have Windows authentication on, adding to the security, etc., of accessing the data. You may already know that within SE, we've really tied down the security on reports. So you can't now go and look on your server, click on a file, or a folder, look in the files and randomly click on documents to see if they give you any interesting information. That you can only now open reports from within Opera SE. So we've done that. There is just another quick example I'm working on at the moment, and I was hoping to get it finished by today, but I've just not had the time to do it. Using the data connector, I'm starting to write in Excel a pack of stock reports. So just something on on stock margins, that's all my stock levels, and obviously cost price, selling price, and just a little alert thing there is whether the margins, if I had a standard margin of say 35% for selling goods, if anything falls below that, just a nice little quick report, quick one on slow moving stock. And then this is the one I'm working on, which is all my stock information, free stock, what's allocated, what's in a sales order, etc. And thinking what my plan is there to write some sort of materials requirement planning spreadsheet to say what needs ordering, taking into account lead time and stuff like that. So you can see that because you've got all the data that's in there, you can basically do whatever you want, and you've got the functionality of Excel. But what people are really interested in and moving it away from Excel is again in Blue Peter Star, one I wrote 5 minutes just before the presentation, I wish, is a Power BI sales report that is linking directly and securely into your SQL SE data to produce this report for you, which you can drill down, sales by region. We can click on there, updates the areas on that, and should do. I need to press Control. There you go. I was thinking about it. I've not published this, so it's still in working or in development, shall we say. Okay. Oh, there you go. It worked. It worked. Took a while. And look at different regions and fit through, and everything changes accordingly on that. We've got filters, the same like macros in Excel, to look at territories, years, months, things like that. We also have another one here. Control click. Little territory sales, and then you've got the breakdown of all your sales in that area for the period, average debtor days. We also have a little one here just to show you some of the power, because Andy mentioned earlier that the XRL for SE has limited functionality, and that's basically around the ability to write back some of the data. So Andy mentioned budgets and things like that. There is a way using our importer to get to set something up here, and this little example is I can actually import data from this Power BI spreadsheet into payroll for a sales guy's commission. So there's a little bit of functionality like that, but I'll talk more about what we're doing with regards to importer when I get to the roadmap side. Going back to that sales report, so you've got this data here using the Power BI and the other Microsoft things. You've got Power Apps, so you can actually get people, you can publish this to a mobile phone setting. Once published, people can access it on their phone. So you're on the beach and you want to know how your business is doing sales wise, or
Don't
how
we all?
yeah, as you do, and nobody can leave it alone when you're on holiday. So it's just on your phone. You can look at a nice little graph or whatever and go, oh, that's that. You can also set up alerts, notifications. So if you like to celebrate when someone makes a big sale, you can set up an alert to say someone sold more than £10,000 or $500,000 or whatever level of your sales are, and it will email or alert people to that effect. And you've also then got the Copilot side of things, which is very trendy, and everyone's watching webinars and things on Copilot. Because we've created a data lake of Pegasus data, you can then use Copilot to ask questions about that data. So you can say, what have I sold today? How much of widget ABC have we got in stock? And Copilot will return that information for you. Okay. So that was very quickly the data connector. Any questions on that? Do people understand what it is from that little short demo? I'll take silence as a yes.
That was great. Thank you, Julian.
Okay. So probably of much interest is our Pegasus roadmap and what we're doing. As you know, SE is our go forward product. So the majority of what I'm going to tell you about is in SQL SE. There is a little disclaimer there because things are subject to change, especially bearing in mind we have a budget next month. And obviously we have to upkeep tax and NI and things in our payroll solution. So it always fluctuates depending on what they stand up in Parliament and say, and then we go into mass panic and always get it done for you.
And then they change it 6 weeks later.
6 days later or 6 minutes later is sometimes. I'm sure they make it up when they're standing there, to be fair. Okay, so the Pegasus roadmap, data connector, tick, done. We have a auto invoicing or AP automation solution that was released probably at the start of the year. If you've not seen that, please ask. But it's basically a supplier emails in an invoice to you. It goes through. It's automatically read. It can be put into a workflow for approval, as complicated or as simple as you wish. And then once it's approved, it will automatically transfer that details into your purchase ledger, so you don't have to rekey it, and it keeps a copy of the invoice or any related data that comes in. That's phase one. Phase two of that, which we're hoping is going to be released before Christmas, is our purchase order processing integration to that. So that will give the ability to raise a purchase order as you may normally do in Opera 3, but in SE. That can then be sent through to the software for approval, again using a workflow. Email is sent off to the supplier. Once the goods are received and everything's received, the invoice will come in. That will be matched against your purchase order. Opera updated, stock moved and allocated, and the purchase order cleared down. So complete process on that. We did have a phase 1.5, which was online buying as well, which was released, which enables you to link to e-commerce websites to order and have workflows, and then brings it back into Opera that way. We started work on the new user interface, so we've done some basic stuff at the moment in terms of fonts and colors and things like that. But the end goal, and it'll change with SE as we go, is to update those graphs, have some dashboards, perhaps some user-specific roles. So if you only do purchasing, you'll come in and see graphs and a dashboards do purchasing, or however you want it set up. So we're working on that. Interesting one, this faster payments. Now, one that is of interest is the ability for your customers. You send them an invoice. The plan is to have a link using something like Stripe or something, so they can click on the link on your invoice and then pay you by credit card. And then that will link into your Opera and update your sales ledger to say it's been paid. The other one, which even working for Pegasus, I don't understand, is we're looking at the ability for you to be able to pay your suppliers quicker. Not sure that's something that would be sought after too much. And going back, we're really focusing now, and you'll see this over the next few releases, on our importer. It's not been looked at for a number of years, and there's a lot of import routines in there. We're going to improve those and add things like those that are now missing from XRL, such as budget imports, stock imports, price list imports, things like that, along with a magnitude of others, BOM assembly imports, things like this. And it will end up like an API to get information into the system. We've also released on the development side the ability for any developers to create web forms, which can be published online for people to input information and get information back into the system that way as well. Page 2. Cash book improvements. So cash book needs a big revamp. Customers really want, and we know you do, automatic bank feeds and bank reconciliation and matching. So we're currently working on that. I would expect to see that, I'm hoping, the first half of next year. subject to change, disclaimer, etc. So I've revamp on that. Okay, security. I've said it's built around security already with SQL SE. You may or may not know, Pegasus is owned by a company called Infor, who are a huge American software developer and company worldwide. They have instructed us to follow EU regulations on something called NIS 2, which you may or may not have heard of. I think it's interesting because it is an EU regulation, and we're finding that most of the EU are completely ignoring it, but we've been told we're doing it. So we're improving security even more in certain areas, and that has to be complete by the end of October, so next month. So there will be a release on software with those improvements there. One of those we're hoping to get in by the end of October is two-factor authentication for accessing your software. Some emailing improvements as well coming up with SQL SE. And we're at the point where the core product, we're very happy with it. Customers are very happy with it. So now we need to make, as I said, it's been built on latest technologies, rewritten about security. So it's more of a back end side. So when I come and say, oh, let's show you SE, there's not, to be fair, there's not an awful lot to show in terms of new functionality apart from data connector AP automation. But what we want to do now is add those nice bits of functionality within the core product that people are asking for and that are useful for our customers. So what would be great is if any of you have any thoughts or ideas of what you would like to see in the system. My ears are open, and I will then take it to the development directors and the developers and say, our customers want this, and we'll look at it. No promises that it will be in there. But now's the opportunity. We're at that point where we'd like to add some of this new little bits of functionality, just quick little ones to put in. So has anybody got anything off the top of their heads? If not, have a think, because there is stuff. Every time I speak to customers, which is often, and say, what would you like in the software? No one really comes up with anything, but have a think and let the guys at TMB know. Yeah, that'd be fine. I will send my email. I'll put it in the chat afterwards, because I'm more than happy to hear about it, because we want to do that for you. So that's the roadmap for the next sort of 6 months. May drag on a little bit longer than that. You know what developers are like. But that's the plan. That's what I've been told's happening. So it's all positive. Keep up to date with what we're doing, obviously, on our website, pegasus.co.uk. And we also send out a monthly newsletter to our customers. If you're not receiving that and you wish to receive that, let Alexa, Paul, Andy, Nicolene, Deb know, and we'll get you added to that mailing list, because it's quite useful. Then you'll see white papers and things, but also what we're doing with updates on Cashbook and all those areas as well. So that's me.
Okay, thank you so much, Julian.
No problem.
So does anybody have any questions about Data Connector? I know that was a whistle-stop tour, wasn't it, of everything that it might be able to do, or on the roadmap? No? Okay. Well, if it's all right, I'd just like to take you...
Oh, I was going to say, feel free to unmute yourselves if you would like to
Oh, yeah, of
ask a
course.
question. You don't have to chat at this point.
Feel free not to die on us, Nicolene.
Okay, I just wanted to take a few minutes, if it's all right, just to summarize some notes I've been taking up of what we've presented, and hopefully when I've gone through, if Deb and Andy and Julian, if I've got anything that you think isn't quite right in my summary, please jump in. Obviously, Paul and Nikki as well, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on what we've gone through today. So Deb, you very kindly showed us the views in Opera. They're native to Opera. They're not in every module, but they are in an awful lot of them. And they're a really quick and easy way to find out data. And Deb gave us that great tip to copy and paste from the top bar, because I know I don't use Opera a lot, but whenever I try to do that, I get everything in one cell and have to spend 40 minutes putting it into different columns. I could have saved myself about 30 hours work. Thank you, Deb.
That's okay.
Andy, you gave us a great look at XRL. We can use XRL to produce either detailed or summary reports. It's got that really great active drill down, so you can go in and see the detail of the more information on your transactions. It's a really simple way to get that data out of Opera, and then you're ready to use it in Excel's tools. And if you've got existing Excel reports, you can slot XRL right back into those to try and ease up on your workload. Julian gave us a really nice look through Data Connector, runs on OData, which has a whole technical reason why they're going to use it, and that information is out there on the internet if you feel like having some technical input. But it gives you a direct and secure access to your Pegasus data. It's one license for the whole company, so you don't need licenses per user. It will automatically refresh your reports. You can secure each user's access to which module and which data they're allowed to see. And that will go into things like Power BI and BrightGauge, which then you can publish to big screens, to mobile phones. Really easy way to share your financial data across the company to people that don't need access to your account system or your top level reports. And it's also going to bring that data out so you can use it with the modern reporting and analysis tools, things that will be improving for us. And lastly, just on the roadmap, I think Julian's demonstrated that there's been a lot of investment and development over the last few years from Pegasus, and that continuing that, Infor and Pegasus are really investing into this product to give us some powerful tools so that we could be more efficient in our accounts and finances, and that you've got this really big focus on keeping the secure data secure and safe. Am I right with that, guys? I know that was very fast.
It's very good, Alexa. Yes.
Okay, lovely. Well, unless if anyone else has got any questions, please feel free to ask now. If not, I mean, I'm sure you know everyone at TMB's email addresses and phone numbers, so just get in contact with us or raise a ticket with the service desk. I will be in contact, hopefully, with you all to catch up on how you think today has gone.
I've also put my email address into the chat as well. So.
Oh, you're going to be inundated now.
No, hopefully, please send in those ideas on what you want. Not a problem.
But not, we've been locked out the system.
No, I'd not support.
I think there's a lot of information that we've given to you, and obviously some of you guys actually use this on a day-to-day basis, which is great, and some of you don't. Obviously, we're here to help you make things more efficient. So obviously pushing questions our way, that's great, and we can do our best to help you. There's lots of developments coming up and exciting times of the future. And just before we go, I just wanted to say thank you very much to Debbie, to Andy, for Julian, and also really for Nicolene, who's putting it all together, because there's a lot of work to get to this point just to give you that information. And it's probably some information you've already got, maybe you haven't, but obviously we're happy to talk about. But also, Julian, thank you for your time and for your help presenting today. If obviously Julian is really easy to talk to and will take those emails, which is great, and he's always looking for new ideas to present to the Pegasus team. So he's as your BDM for us, who is on our side and will help as best he can and everything else. So not lastly, to say thank you very much for all of you guys for attending. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it something that you can use in the future, and also come back to us and we can try and help you to make that easier and more efficient for you. So thank you very much for your time.
And thank you to Alexa for stepping in at the last minute and
I'm sure Nikki
and listening and doing a wonderful summary.
Yeah. So I think Alexa had about 5 minutes of prep time before, because obviously Nicolene is really unwell, but Nicolene worked really, really hard behind the scenes. So thank you for Alexa and also Nicolene.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good weekend, all.
Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank
Have a
you.
good
Cheers.
Friday.